Carrera sticking his jab and showing resolution as round one comes to a close.
You're doing very good. Open your mouth. You're doing very good. The only problem is that he wants you to come in so he can catch you. And then when you're on the outside, he wants to catch you with his power shot. Use your jab, move. And when you're on the inside, light him up.
Now, come on, Aldo. Let's use that jab a little bit more, okay?
Jab.
Oh, you double that jab up and then sink that right in the body, okay? All right? Body first, double jab, body, then back to the head, okay, son? All right,
Body?
Yeah, body, then head, okay? All right, combinations now, not one punch at a time. All right? Do this one.
CompuBox numbers in round one, and we mentioned that Carrera had been throwing more punches, seemingly beating Concepcion to the punch, but he wasn't able to land many of them. According to CompuBox, only 5 out of 56, while Concepcion was 11 out of 33, including 9 of 14 power shots. So the rippling muscles of the Filipino fighter giving him the opportunity to land more power punches in the first round.
And Jim, he has a tremendous sledgehammer left jab to Concepcion. When he lands his left jab, it's better than most guys would see that. Most guys is right hand punch. Very powerful straight left jab.
What jumps out at me about Concepcion physically are his calves. They're huge. And maybe
he's from the Philippines. All of them are like that.
I mean,
now this is something we see that has to do with the kickboxing background that Emmanuel mentioned, and you know, it's a feature you see in Manny Pacquiao, Ray Batista, virtually all of the star quality fighters who come from the Philippines have power in their legs. There's a good body shot inside by Bernabe Concepcion. Adam Carrera is trained by his father, and you heard him encouraging his son between rounds.
Even though maybe Concepcion has the most talent in this fight, Cabrera is fighting a very determined fight, and you know, anything could happen in this fight. It would not surprise me.
Earlier this year against Juan Ruiz, Concepcion also started slowly and looked as though he was going to be out hustled, only to take over the fight as he entered the middle rounds.
Good body shot and a left hook upstairs by Concepcion.
Yep, and Cabrera came right back with a tail end punch at the end of it, though. Maybe not as powerful, maybe not as flashy, but his determination is there, and his focus and intensity is probably making up for his lack of talent.
Absolutely.
Every time that Concepcion lands a punch, Carrera comes right back and prevents him from getting a real good momentum to going.
Right hand over the top by Carrera drives Concepcion back into the ropes. Concepcion still fighting with that little grin on his face as Carrera puts him in a corner and sticks another right hand. Hard right hand inside on a counter shot by Carrera, throwing more punches again in this round than Bernabe Concepcion.
Time.
Okay. All right. That's the way you work that body. Good job. Let's work that jab a little bit more for you, okay? Just double that jab up, okay? All right. You landed one, okay? Two's there for you. Double jab and that right hook your body's working well, okay? Make that bucket.
Careful with his uppercuts. But you're taking the fight. It's good. Throw your combinations. Throw your combinations. Go in and out quickly. Catch him. Come on, close. 45.
CompuBox numbers in round 2 very similar to those in round 1 in the sense that Carrera threw more punches, 59 to only 39 for Concepcion, but Concepcion landed more punches, 16 to 10 for Carrera by CompuBox count.
Well, looking at the eyes of Concepcion, I think he has a lot more respect for Cabrera than he had when the fight first started. Even though he may be winning, I see a little sense of worry setting in his eyes. Carrera.
Carrera comes from Cathedral City, California, out in the desert. We've seen some determined fighters from the desert before, including Antonio Diaz, who had a fight several years back with Antonio Margarito, whom we're going to see in the main event later on this evening. Concepcion seems a little bit more interested in working to the body. Freddie Roach was asking for double jabs. Concepcion using his footwork now to try to get inside on Carrera and slip past that long jab.
Yeah, you see, talking about his calves earlier, it's not just normal footwork. He's springing into punching range and then springing out.
I've been amazed at his footwork and his balance. You know, he's not just a puncher, but he moves very good upper body movement and moves very well on his legs, in and out.
Hard right hand puts Carrera on his knee. And it was the footwork that both of you were talking about that created the opportunity for that punch. And just as Max Kellerman described it, he sprung into position to launch the punch and shocked Carrera from close range.
The hand speed and the foot speed is really a problem for Carrera trying to deal with Concepcion. Not just his punching power, just he moves in and out, punches from all kind of angles, and you really can't anticipate where the punches come, like the uppercut.
Brilliant right uppercut, and Carrera goes down again on a punch he couldn't possibly have seen.
No way. It was the first uppercut probably he saw through in the whole fight. It's over.
This is going to be called off by Joe Cortez.
Great call by
A
Joe
spectacular third-round knockout for Bernabe Concepcion, who literally sprang into position to throw 2 or 3 shocking power punches. We may be seeing the development of a new style of fighting, actually.
And I'm glad to see that, because most of these small guys today have no footwork or rhythm at all. They just punch. This was an exception, right? He punching and moving all at the same time.
The question when you see a prospect is there something out of the ordinary here? Is there something worth tuning in to see? And I think the answer here is a resounding yes.
Concepcion closing the show, landing 9 of 15 power shots. You've seen the power, speed, and dynamism of Manny Pacquiao. Clearly, with Freddie Roach in the corner, that's the model on which Concepcion is working. If anything, he's even more creative than Pacquiao in the way in which he creates these power shot opportunities.
That was a beautiful right hand after he slipped a jab and came over. Carrera didn't do anything wrong. He just he slipped it and he was on the blind side. He couldn't even see it because of his own shoulder in the way.
Talk about a short power punch.
That was the first knockdown. Now here's the second.
And here you see a punch that he hasn't thrown the entire fight. A right uppercut thrown inside of a wide left head punch, which is very unusual.
Thrown with violent intentions and tremendous force.
And still in such great balance and position.
Carrera even able to get off one right hand before he fell, but then getting to his feet at about the 9 count. Clearly unable to continue. A good stoppage by Joe Cortez. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 2 minutes, 14 seconds of round number 2. The winner by TKO victory. He's from Azal in the Philippines. Bernabe, the real deal, Concepcion.
The smile gets a little bit broader and more expansive, but he wore it throughout the 3 rounds en route to the stunningly effective knockout of a pretty good-looking opponent in Adam Carrera. Final CompuBox numbers, and you'll see that Carrera was the higher volume puncher, but Concepcion made his count, landing 40% of his total punches, including those bombs in which or for which he sprung into position in round 3. 60% of his power shots. By and large, in this game, when CompuBox numbers say that you've landed 60% of your power shots, you have either scored a knockout or a stunningly dominant victory. So it's a hot night for Bernabe Concepcion of the Philippines and a hot night outside in Las Vegas, where the temperature all week has been well above 100 degrees. Still to come, 140-pound prospect Mike Alvarado, a former high school wrestler, converted late to boxing, against Cesar Bazan, longtime fixture in the 140-pound weight class. And undefeated knockout artist Giovanni Segura versus Cesar Canchila, who says, I'm the one who's going to score the knockout here in the 108-pound weight class. And then our main event, one of the most highly anticipated fights of recent years, Miguel Cotto versus Antonio Margarito for the welterweight championship of the world. But before that, let's take a look at the next boxing event on